Good morning. I'm Jim Spencer. I'm the Executive Director of the Bluefield, West Virginia Economic Development Authority. And today we have the 102 version of getting your business discovered on the internet. And before, I told you a story at the last one 2 weeks ago about being in Winston-Salem. And this past weekend, I happened to be in Sumter, South Carolina. And I wanted to eat at some of the top restaurants in Sumter, South Carolina. So how did I find that? I went to TripAdvisor, and then I was able to look at the reviews. So it's not only getting your business there, it's getting your customers to go in and post reviews. So I can see what it was like, their shrimp and oysters and things like that. So Savannah did an excellent job in the 101 session. So now let's dig into the 102 session. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. This is our guys out in Welch. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I can see you guys. Again, welcome back. I had a lot of fun teaching the 101 class, and I'm looking forward to this 102 session. Just like any good grade school teacher, it's always beneficial to go over the content that we've previously discussed in the last class. Kristen is joining us this morning, and she's going to be monitoring the chat box. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and Kristen is going to give me a little wave and let me know that we have a question, and I will answer it that way. So let's cover what we covered in 101. We talked about Google, we talked about Apple Maps and Siri. We talked about TripAdvisor, Yelp, Angie, which is formerly Angie's List, Home Advisor, and we covered using Facebook and Instagram. And again, TripAdvisor, Angie, and Home Advisor were all pretty industry specific. So right away, I decided for this session that I was going to build in quite a little bit of time for questions. And in that last session, we were fast paced and we were going pretty fast. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat if you're joining us by Zoom. If you guys are over in Welch, ask the person monitoring or hosting the meeting to just drop your question in the chat box. There are no silly questions when it comes to stuff like this. So a quick recap. If I was to Google your industry or ask Siri, did you pop up? And for the folks over in Welch, is there anybody who is here that was not at our 102 session? You just raise your hand. I can see you. Looks like everyone was at our 101 session. Perfect. So if you remember, we all decided to Google ourselves and see where our rankings popped up. And that is search engine optimization. So for instance, cupcakes near me or ATV lodging near me. So if you've implemented anything that we discussed during the 101 session, it would be beneficial to take a look and Google your business now. Where do you pop up? When we're posting online, we want to make sure we use keywords. So wherever we share information, we want to see the types of keywords that can pop up. And for instance, when I started typing the Hatfield McCoy trails, I see that folks have Googled maps, rules, cabins, the trails near me, trails specifically in Mercer County, so on and so forth. It's also important to update your Google business profile, update your hours, showcase new products, reply to reviews. There's even a section to upload your menu to Google Business. So when folks Google you, they can already see what's going on and know what's up before they visit your business. So in Google Business Profile, if you remember when we Googled ourselves, if I did cupcakes near me, I can see that Sweet Things Cupcakery Boutique popped up first, and then the Shopkeeper. Both are local Bluefield businesses. And then I see Walmart Bakery, of course, was that third contender. But as you can see, Sweet Things and the Shopkeeper have a more of established Google Business Profile. Therefore, they appear higher on the Google Business rankings. So we had the same conversation about the Apple Business Register. Now, this really looks in terms of distance from where you are, but right away, we as humans, it's nature. We're going to pick on the item that has pictures and more information attached. So if we see no reviews or permanently closed, we're more likely just to skip and go down to that one that has that information. When you're using Apple Business Register, you want to update it with as many things as you would put in Google Drive. So You can do menus. You can make sure your hours are correct. If you're going to be closed for Labor Day weekend, make sure that's located in there as well. We also covered Yelp, which is frequently used by locals and tourists to find places to dine, shop, stay, or unique things going on. And what's really neat about Yelp is it's indexed by other platforms for seamless content sharing. And as we shared in a class 2 weeks ago, when we looked, if I was to click Fat Boys ATV lodging, most of the time it'll pop up that it was indexed by Yelp or indexed by bookings. But lucky for us, Yelp and Apple have a really neat partnership that allows you to, if you update on one, it'll update on the other. So again, this is how Apple Maps and listing your business on Google come together. So on the left, we have an Apple device, and we're able to see the multiple businesses that we have here when we select restaurants. And over here, we have an Android device. And these are the businesses that appear when we look for restaurants. But if you'll notice, although I'm searching for restaurants on an Apple device versus an Android device, they're two completely different sets of options that appear. That's why it's important to be on multiple platforms. Don't just pick one and go after one. List your business on those multiple platforms. So a quick recap. These are places that tourism businesses should be located. And if you're asking yourself, am I a tourist business? If your clientele is consistently revolving, especially if you, for instance, let's say a cafe, I'm a permanent cafe, right, in Bluefield, but all of a sudden, I get folks who are riding the trails. I get folks who are coming in and visiting family. I get folks who are just stopping off of the interstate. You can be considered a tourism business, and you should start pivoting the way you think towards a tourism business, because you're not going to just get the same folks over and over and over again. So any business that offers something to do, something to eat, or a place to stay needs to be registered on TripAdvisor. Even if you don't think that your business primarily serves tourists, if I'm visiting from out of town and you're a good place for me to stop, you'd be a good tourism business. And I'm going to pick on Monica's joined us in person. Monica has a tie-dye business, and you set up at multiple locations going on, right? So it's important to list your business, but also list, hey, I'm going to be at the farmer's market this weekend, or I'm going to be at Field Fest on Thursday, and so on and so forth. And you can list that in TripAdvisor. We also have the Expedia group, which is Expedia, Hotels.com, Travelocity, Orbitz, Hotwire, and VRBO all in one. I did not realize that all of these were owned by the same kind of conglomerate unit. But what's really neat is if you list on one, it's supposed to list you on all of them. But I always recommend going in, double checking to make sure if you list something on Expedia and Expedia only, your profile looks the same on Hotels.com, VRBO, so on and so forth. And the really neat thing about the Expedia group and these websites listed is that when someone's looking to book travel, transportation accommodations, whether it's plane, train, bus, they use these websites, but these websites also list lodging accommodations. So although you may be thinking, well, I use Expedia for plane tickets. Well, sure. But if someone is looking for a plane or bus or something and goes to try to navigate to our area, it'll show those recommended lodging. So here are places that our service businesses should be located. First off, we have Angie, which is formerly Angie's List, and customers can input the types of services they need for their home, whether it's pressure washing, plumbing, electrical, or etc. You can get the premium version of Angie, and you'll be able to accept payments. Integrates very well with QuickBooks, so you can send quotes and take payments and stuff like that all in the app. Again, I'm not telling you need to get Angie, but that is an option if you're looking for something. There is Home Advisor as well, which is owned by Angie. And if I can't stress it enough, we know that Angie runs Home Advisor. If you're listed on Angie, make sure your Home Advisor profile is updated like your Angie profile. We know they're supposed to talk seamlessly to each other, but it never hurts to double check. So we got into using Facebook and Instagram, social media for marketing your business and getting your business discovered on the internet. So you want to make sure that your Facebook page is up to date and you want to check it weekly. If someone can't get the answer they're looking for, they will move on. For instance, at the last class that we hosted, I was looking for things to do for the 4th of July in McDowell County because I was going to ride the trails. And I was able to I'm looking for a kid-friendly event, and I'm looking for something from July 3rd to July 5th because that's my vacation date. And right away, the 4th of July bash for Crumpler Mountain Resort popped up. I said, perfect, that's where I'm gonna be there. I might as well go to the 4th of July bash. If you do anything remotely special out of the normal, if you have sales, if you have a 4th of July special, if for Labor Day you're hosting a guided tour throughout the trails, post that as an event on Facebook. There is another option to post on Eventbrite, like we referred to at the last class, because the two do integrate and speak together. And what's neat about Eventbrite is it's indexed by Google. So folks type things to do in Welch. Eventbrite will index your event, and folks can either RSVP to join you via Eventbrite or Facebook. We also talked about Instagram, and we want to post photos and geotag them to a larger scale option near you. So for instance, let's say I own a lodging business in Mercer County. I have a cool cabin. It's off in the woods. It's gorgeous, right? And I'm like, how am I going to attract folks on Instagram to look at my business? Instead of posting and just geotagging my business over and over and over again, I'm going to geotag. I'll show you guys. This geotag right here is where it says local goat ATV resort. I'm going to geotag it with something a little bit more broad, like Bramwell, West Virginia, or Mercer County, West Virginia, or McDowell County, West Virginia, so on and so forth. That way, when folks go on Instagram and they search whether it's hashtag Welch or geotag for Welch, they're able to see my business, my gorgeous picture of my cabin pop up on their feed. And if you think about it, especially us ladies who typically make the lodging accommodations, when we're scrolling and we see somewhere that looks like gorgeous to say, we're like, wait a second, what is that? We'll click on it, we'll get that information. You also want to encourage your customers to post pictures as well. And that's super important that they do geotag your business specifically, because that's how folks know that this is your business and where to lodge with you. So let's talk about some good principles of what to incorporate. You want to be where folks are searched. So imagine you're visiting somewhere brand new, and how are you going to find information? How is anyone going to find information on your business specifically? You want to eliminate bias when posting or sharing information, and write as if the person reading has never visited your establishment, your town, or anything of the sort. Because there's nothing worse, and I'll give an example. I went down to Savannah, Georgia a couple years ago, and there is you can go and get kind of like old-timey photos taken, but there was a specific process of how you're supposed to like book things. You're supposed to book your time online, and you show up at a certain time, and you have to be ready, and you only get a certain amount of time to change clothes and so on and so forth. If you don't make that process clear for folks ahead of time, there's nothing worse than just getting frazzled while you're visiting that establishment and not knowing, and then you kind of get that like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. And that can kind of create, not very good experience. So make everything folks need to know super crystal clear. For instance, my parents just started riding the trails a couple of years ago. And when they first visited me, they were like, does everyone in the buggy have to have a trail pass? Do your trail passes have to be on your helmets? Where do I get trail passes from? Where's the best place to stay? Can I take my ATV down 52? Where's the exact limit for me to stop? So they had all of these questions and they didn't want to look like a newbie or an unexperienced writer. And they had to find the right people to ask. If you make that information available, even if it's, hey, etiquette for riding the ATV trails, even if I'm a lodging business, having etiquette for riding an ATV trail listed right there on my Facebook page, or doing a blog post about it or Instagram post about it. Not only are you picking up those keywords, as we mentioned for SEO, you're kind of creating a relationship with that potential customer. We use the example because last time Jim was traveling to Winston-Salem, and Jim's been traveling pretty frequently the past couple of weeks and really pushing on TripAdvisor. This is an example of what it would look like if we got multiple folks to get on Google Business. When you look up things to do in Winston-Salem, right away, TripAdvisor, the 15 best things to do in Winston-Salem 2022 with photos. The more content we post as a community, the more likely these websites will index us and search us and put together lists of places to go, things to do, and things to see. And then right after, VirginiaTravelTrips.com, 20 best things to do in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Although Winston-Salem is not in Virginia, there are these groups picking up stuff like this. So if there's enough information going on about the trails, and St. McDowell County is like the hub for trail riding, right? These websites like Virginia Travel Tips or TripAdvisor will pick up on all of that activity and create even more content for people to find your business. And then when we look at Google Business's profile for Winston-Salem, we're able to see top 10 sites. You can view a map. It's got everyone listed. It's great photos. They have this great background photo of Winston-Salem. This can happen. You want to be where folks are searching. So you want to have a crystal clear call to action. And a call to action is telling your folks, book now, learn more, get tickets, get an estimate, book a consultation. It's that, what is that next step, and telling them exactly where they can go to accomplish that next step. For instance, when we look at Browning Lambert ATV Resort, and Instagram and social media makes it pretty easy for you to have a clear call to action. Right here, they have a contact button, but their website is also listed in their bio. And when you hit that contact button, if you have email, you can list email. If you have a phone number, you can put your phone number. If you have, if you feel comfortable having an address, you can list the address. And down here in the body of their post, they're saying, please call this number to make accommodations or check for reservations to see if your dates are available. Any question? This one is Instagram, particularly. The question was, are we looking at Facebook or Instagram? This one is Instagram. As you can see, it's really picture heavy. And Instagram is pretty much only accessed on your mobile device. You can access it a little bit on web browser, but it's not as fun and as functional. But the two do talk to each other. So if you post on Instagram, you can post on Facebook and vice versa. Yes. So the question is when you're looking at this profile, how are you able to put that contact information in? And when let me think if I can show the best example. When you look at your Instagram profile, you'll see, can you see my mouse right here? Yeah, you'll see an edit profile button down here. And then when you select that, there's a contact information section where you can input phone number, email address, and I think there's WhatsApp. You use WhatsApp. There's an option to include that as well. And you just input that information there. Once you do that, the contact button will appear on yes. Yep. So on the picture to the right, so if you look at this one on the left, This is their profile when you first visit. And what I did is I clicked on this. Yes. Okay. Yes. So the question was if someone was if you're scrolling along on Instagram and you see a picture, and if you're scrolling, it looks like this picture on the right? If you click that Browning Lambert ATV Resort at the top, you can click it up there, or you can click it down here. And it's bolded a little bit more than the other text is. If you click it, it will take you to their profile like this. Yes. Yep. And anybody can see those pictures. Yes. As long as you're a public account, which if you run a business, you should be set up as a business account and have your profile as public. And I can I'll be happy to show you. We've taught Instagram 101 and Instagram 102 before, and those recordings are available in our digital library. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show where you can find our other classes to get up to speed on things like Instagram and Facebook. So I'll be sure to cover that. That brings up a really good point, because if you look here, remember when I suggested, if you're going to post pictures about your business, go ahead and post your geotag to something really broad, not just specifically your business. That way folks can find you. If you look, Browning Lambert ATV Resort geotagged this as Rock, West Virginia. They could have geotagged it as their own business, and it would have said Browning Lambert ATV Resort, Browning Lambert ATV Resort, and then down the bottom, Browning Lambert ATV Resort. And that's great if folks are already following you. But if you're trying to reach new folks, if you're geotagging to Rock, West Virginia, and I'm not from here, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder what there is to do in Rock, I can click that, and then, hey, that's a pretty cool looking ATV. And then I find your business. So actually, I'm going to use you as an example, Monica. So as I mentioned, Monica owns a tie-dye business, and you're constantly setting up shop at other events going on. It would be extremely beneficial if you post a couple photos, maybe some products, or even if you have something maybe exclusive for that event, or you know is going to sell it at that event, and post it on Instagram and geotag it. So you're at Field Fest last Thursday. You can geotag it as Field Fest. I'm not entirely sure they have it set up to where you can do that, but I would geotag it as Bluefield, Virginia. And then, the next place that you go to, if you, let's say you're going to the food truck frenzy in Princeton, geotagging it to Princeton. If you're gonna do a pop-up, and the more posts you make in geotag, the more likely folks are to find you. Let's see. We want to be as detail oriented as possible. So if your business is in the toke-up, you have phrases on your website or social media listings that say lodging on the Hatfield-McCoy trails, it attaches the Hatfield-McCoy trails to your business because it's in the same body of text. If you think about it, let's say I'm writing my description for Facebook, and let's say I own that super cute cabin, right? That gorgeous looking cabin that all the ladies would want to stay in with their family. I'm going to say a glamping experience located in the heart of McDowell County in Welch, providing a stellar camping experience on the Pocahontas and Indian Ridge trails of the Hatfield-McCoy trails. All of a sudden, I'm taking glamping, I'm taking Welch, I'm taking McDowell, I'm taking, I said camping, lodging. I'm taking all of those words that I just used in the description, and I'm attaching them to each other. So if someone Googles glamping, Indian Ridge, McDowell County, my business will appear because I've already used all of those sets of keywords together in my description. So Monica, for you, I would do custom tie-dye apparel and items, perfect gifts for holidays. I mean, you can go specifically in birthdays, so on and so forth. And so when someone Googles birthday gift Bluefield, your business is more likely to pop up because you're attaching yourself to all those words. You can hashtag them, but this is important when you're writing your description. So like even right up here, if we're looking at this Instagram profile, they have West Virginia Lodging Guide available for rent on Hatfield-McCoy Trail with hiking, skiing, rafting, and hunting close by. So how they make that little snippet, and all of a sudden they attached a guide, Hatfield-McCoy Trail, hiking, skiing, rafting, hunting, and then they have West Virginia. That's in their bio. Yes. So Monica brought up a really good point. She said, do you hashtag those items? Absolutely. So you want those items to be in your bio, your description, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TripAdvisor, it doesn't matter. You usually get that little section like your elevator pitch about your business, and you want to use as many of those keywords as possible, but you do want to hashtag these keywords in your posts. So if I'm Browning Lambert ATV Resort and I posted this picture, and this one specifically, happy Father's Day weekend to all the awesome dads out there, stay safe, yada, yada, yada. Right away, they have hashtag Explore 304. They can add hashtag Welch, hashtag Hatfield-McCoy Trails, hashtag HMT, hashtag Pocahontas Trail, and keep going on and on and on. And the more you put those keywords into everything that you're doing, the more likely that you're going to appear higher when folks are searching for you on the internet. Yes, and the question is, are you going to repeat using those hashtags with every photo you put up? Yes. The important, and I've noticed what folks are doing now is instead of putting the hashtags in the actual body of the post, comment on your own post again and put those hashtags in there. That way, folks who are always looking at your profile, I'm like, dang, I have to read all these hashtags again. So you're able to attract new folks to your profile while still having, your existing clientele not get overloaded with the long description of hashtags that you have in the body. And Instagram, I say this now, this is what's working right now, but Instagram is apt to change the algorithm, and we will update that as we teach classes on Instagram and other platforms. If it turns out, if we go back to having to put the hashtags in the description when you actually post the post, we will be sure to cover that in the classes that we have in the future. That's the funny thing about Instagram and Facebook is we can say, okay, I think we figured it out. We figured out how to get our maximum reach and where to put hashtags and where to put these keywords. And then I really think Facebook and Instagram are like, how can we make this more difficult? I swear that's what they think. Do we have any questions so far? I'm just going to take a pause. Anybody over in Welch have any questions for me? Move out of the glare a little bit. The sun is shining in Bluefield. Do we have any questions in the chat, Kristen? Okay. So these are ways that you can make it easier. You're going to want to post on your social media channels consistently. And there's always the question of how often should I post on social media? Daily. If you have customers daily, you should be posting daily. If you have customers weekly, at minimum, post weekly. I would recommend at least 1 to 2 times a week, preferably 2 at minimum, because there's always the idea of quality over quantity. If you're just posting a bunch of kind of low quality stuff, you're not going to get as much of a reach or a response. So it's better if you're going to go all out and post 2 amazing posts that are, just like rich in content. And when you think about scrolling on social media, what are the things that you tend to like more than other things? And you're more apt to double tap or hit that like button or hit that heart button. Post content like that over the content that folks will just keep scrolling and not even stop and read your post. You want to make sure you incorporate your keywords into everything that you do. So again, we were looking at this Browning Lambert ATV Resort. We see keywords Father's Day. We see awesome dads, enjoy the ride, see you on the trails. And we see the hashtag Explore 304. We're looking at all of these keywords coming together to make their posts connect to Hatfield McCoy Trails and other important keywords to get their business found. So there are two additional sites that we did not discuss in the last session that I'm going to bring up now of places where you can list your business. First, we're going to cover the Better Business Bureau, and then we're going to cover Bing. So first up, we've got Better Business Bureau, and it's important to note, you will see all the time when looking on the internet, oh, we are BBB accredited. Like for instance, we've got Alorica here, which is an accredited business. By listing your business on BBB, Yelp, TripAdvisor, whatever, so on and so forth, they're going to push you to get accredited or purchase ads or buy, slots on advertising and stuff like that. We are in no way telling you you have to do that. The bare minimum is just listing your business on these websites. You do not need to get the accreditation. That's a decision that you make on your own. But you're able to see that just looking at the Better Business Bureau, you can search for BBB accredited businesses only, or you can search for all businesses. But at some point in time, especially if your business is doing pretty good, you are likely to have a listing on Better Business Bureau already created for you. So I'd highly recommend get ahead of the curve, go ahead and make your listing and put all of your information there. Even if, say, you're only, this is still relatively a side hustle, go ahead and get it on the Better Business Bureau, because it's better to go ahead and create that listing and put the content you want in that listing than let Better Business Bureau index Google to try to figure out what your business is and make you a listing. So again, you do not have to get your business accredited through the Better Business Bureau. That is a decision that you make on your own. Sure. So, and the question was, her business is relatively new and she does not have a business license yet. Not having a business license is not going to affect being able to get listed on the internet. However, if you are doing sales in, Bluefield, Virginia requires a business license. Virginia is pretty strict, requires a business license. Bluefield, West Virginia requires a business license and a city business license. That process is something that we can help you with and have a conversation offline and get you the steps that you need. Do you live in Bluefield, Virginia or Bluefield, West Virginia? On the Virginia side? Okay. So we're going to dive back into Better Business Bureau for a hot second. And by the way, the links for this we will be providing at the end of the session, so you're able to go in and click exactly where you need to go. You can list your Better Business. You can get your Better Business profile listed by just going to bbb.org/get-listed. And you go ahead and you can start finding your business by name. If you remember what I said, if you are being found on the internet, more than likely BBB is going to index your business and start to create your listing for you. If that's the case, you start typing in your business. So I think Brandy's joining us. I used her as an example. The last class, start typing in Brandy's Bouquets. If you appear, go through the process to claim your Better Business Bureau profile. If you don't appear, there's an option for you to go ahead and add your business. And you typically will have to add a phone number or an address, and they'll call you with a verification code, or they'll mail you something, and then you put that verification code into your profile. Next up, we have Bing. And why Bing? So we all know about the most popular search engine is Google. Bing is owned by Microsoft and is the #2 rated search engine next to Google. Bing has a Bing business profile similar to Google's business profile, and you can go on and claim your listing on Bing. And it says right here, chances are Bing has a listing for your business already. And if you remember, I said a lot of these sites like to index other sites. So you can claim your listing or add a new one. And if your business has multiple locations, you can add them in one go using the bulk upload tool. Then you'll want to complete your listing profile and then verify your listing. So if you remember, let's see, I'm going to go back to this slide right here. we had an Apple device, and we had an Android device. Now what we're going to do is we're going to imagine there's a third device next to us, and it's someone who uses Bing's search engine exclusively, and they may show an entirely different set of businesses that you're looking for on their search engine. So Bing also indexes TripAdvisor. So you want to make sure that you update your listing on TripAdvisor as well. So we look here, we looked at Microsoft Bing, we said things to do in Bluefield. Right away, we got Rich Runner Train and Gary Bowling's House of Art. And we can see right here that they were indexed from TripAdvisor, and it went ahead and pulled over their reviews, their bio, and some photos. So likely you're not, if you're more likely if you have something on TripAdvisor, it's likely that Bing and other search engines will index that, but you always want to verify that the information you provide one website is copied and pasted to the other site correctly. So we have the 101 that we taught the other week, we have this 102, and I started implementing some of this stuff. So now what? The best thing that you can do after you accomplish the steps that we've covered in this presentation is to ask for reviews on Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor, and all of the sites that you use to list your business. How? If you are a lodging business, go ahead and get some flyers made. And I can show you guys, we use this great tool called Canva. This is exactly what I built this presentation in as well. You can go onto Canva, get a free account, and make a flyer. You can make a table tent, print them out, put them in your rooms for your lodge. Make table tents to put at your business. Hey, if you like what you purchased, you like the experience, please leave us a review on Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor. Maybe get some different ones. Maybe one table tent says Google, one table tent says TripAdvisor, your flyer says Facebook, because if we're going to be where people are searching, people are going to want to see reviews respective to where they're searching. So if Jim exclusively uses TripAdvisor, so Jim's going to look at the reviews that are available on TripAdvisor. So you want to encourage folks to rate you on TripAdvisor if that's applicable. So here are the links that we're going to cover, but I am going to share some extremely helpful other sessions like we've taught on our digital library. And that looks like, if you go to mybluefield.org, load for a second. This is our website. If you go up here to the Connect tab, you're going to see Beta News. I'm going to click here, and I will be sure to include this in the email that's going out to everyone joining us. We have a section on our blog specifically called Entrepreneurs Access. So if you found yourself saying, ooh, we talked a lot about Instagram today, and I'm not entirely comfortable with Instagram before I implement some of the things that we talked about today. Let's see, we're still indexing some. I don't think it's loading all the way, but you're able to go onto our digital library and access classes. And I did mention Canva. We had Canva 101 and Canva 102 that Faith taught. And like we talked about making those table tents, if you click on Canva, you're able to watch the class. So it looks just like what I'm doing right now, but you're able to watch the class, or you can read the recap that we covered about Canva. And say you want to dive even deeper, we're still indexing our YouTube channel onto that digital library, and that's where you can go and find a ton more classes. Instagram refresher, Canva refresher, your business's community presence taught by Caitlin Workman. We covered customer service the Chick-fil-A way, so on and so forth. So we will be sure to provide the link to find these additional classes. So you can also use those to build your social media profiles or figuring out what exactly it is to post when you post on social media, so on and so forth. So do we have any questions? Anything in the chat box? That's a great question. So Jim just asked for a suggestion on how to handle negative reviews. And this process varies from business to business, but I've always been an advocate for being proactive versus reactive. So if you know that a customer may have had a poor experience, of course, you're going to want to try to handle that before the customer leaves your establishment. But if this person leaves a nasty review on your social media, or Google, Facebook, so on and so forth, I would recommend type under there, we are so sorry you had this experience. We would like to make this right. Please give us a call, and take that conversation offline and have that conversation with them, whether it's on the phone, by email, or you agree they come back into your business, and do what you need to do to make it right. But it never worked out for anybody escalating bad reviews online. And that's where you'll see a lot of businesses. One person gets going, they'll post on their other pages, look at what happened to me, blah, 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 go in and bad review them as well. So the quicker you're able to get it offline, the better. And I would not recommend just ignoring it either. I mean, you're gonna want to address that negative review, because just leaving it stagnant there. If I go onto TripAdvisor and I see a negative review for a place where I want to go lodging, I'm not very likely to patron that establishment if I see that they did nothing about it. But if the person commented, when we arrived, our room wasn't completely ready, it kind of caused a delay in our schedule, and I see that and Google will show the owner of this business replied to this review, we're so sorry you had this experience. We would love to chat with you and make this right. Please give us a call at blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, well, they actually made the effort to make it right. I'll go ahead and patron this establishment. So you have to think about it. What would you do if you saw a negative review on another place? Yes, there is always folks that'll just negative Nancy's. Yes, for sure. And if you find yourself the victim of there are folks who will just go out there and give negative reviews who've never even visited your business. You can report those to Google or Yelp or TripAdvisor, and they will work with you to figure out if that's a legitimate review or not, and if it's not, removing that review from your profile. Real quick, there is a survey link here on the left-hand side. If you'd be so kind, you can hold your smartphone camera up to that QR code, or you can type the URL in your smartphone. If you would just take the survey, leave us a little review, tell us if you like the class, tell us what else you'd like to see us cover in the future. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. But that concludes the session for today.
Samantha, I have a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Of course.
When we get on all these sites, or when we attempt to get on all these sites, are there charges for them? Are they free? How do you calculate which ones you want to get on first, if you have to make a choice?
Okay, so the question was, are these sites free to list your business? Yes, all of the sites that we've mentioned, both in the 101 session and the 102 session, are free to list your business. But again, they're going to reach out to you. Hey, buy ads from us. Hey, get your business accredited, so on and so forth. You do not have to do that. I mean, that's at your own discretion. If you choose to, that's your business. And if you feel that'd be beneficial to you, by all means. And then second, you asked about ranking. What should I get on first? So if you remember that slide I showed you where it had Google and the Google phone and the Apple phone right next to each other, right there, those I would say are your top dogs. If for some reason you only had to pick one or two, right? Get listed on Google, get listed on Apple, because ultimately that's step one in folks finding you. But that's tough, because I also recommend getting on social media too. Social media, whether we like it or not, is extremely important. And Jim is a great example. Jim doesn't do Facebook, but he does Instagram. So you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna be on Facebook and that's it. What about the folks that don't use Facebook and they only use Instagram? What about the folks who don't use social media at all? So if your target market more than likely has 1,000,001 ways that they like to use the internet. And that's why we provided this list of sites, because these pretty much cover your bases on where someone is going to find you. Does that answer your question?
It does. If I'm going to launch a business, let's say September 1, is it advisable for me to put something on all these sites that says, look, I'm coming, or do I wait until the day my business launches?
So give me an example. What kind of business would you want to be opening?
Okay, say I'm going to open up a barbecue place. Well,
Okay.
I know I'm going to open it up on September 1. How far in advance should I start advertising my business? Or should I just wait until day 1 when I launch?
At minimum, I would start advertising 2 weeks beforehand at minimum. And that I would do that by creating a buzz on social media. Create your Facebook page, create your Instagram page, and start creating content coming soon. And this can be really fun. You can do sneak peeks of your menu, whether that's pictures or just posting like 1 or 2 items from your menu. You can give sneak peeks to what the inside of your barbecue joint will look like. You can really have a whole lot of fun to kind of stir up that excitement. So come September 1, you're not then starting to pull people into your business. You've already started.
One last question for me.
Sure.
You said there's an option to be accredited on Better Business Bureau.
Yes.
What is the positive advantage of being accredited or not being accredited?
So I'm going to say this, listing on Better Business Bureau without getting accredited is the most beneficial route for small businesses. If you become large, or if you do a lot of sales online, it may be worth to get accredited by BBB. Because especially if, let's say you have an Etsy store. Let's say I make stickers and I live in Bluefield, got an Etsy store. I'm like, wow, my Etsy store has taken off. I'm going to start my own website and I'm going to accept sales on my website and get away from Etsy. What would be the deciding factor of someone trusting to place an order through my website? I mean, what do my stickers cost? I don't know, a couple $100. You know what I mean? What is going to be that trust factor? And that's where getting an accreditation from the BBB comes in. So unless you're doing buku sales online, not through a platform like Etsy, eBay, you can do it on Facebook now. If you decide to go your own route and get your own website, BBB would be beneficial. Or if you're a huge conglomerate, like you saw, Alorica was accredited by the BBB, and they have multiple locations worldwide.
Is there a cost for that accreditation?
Yes, there is.
You know what that cost is?
I looked at it when I was putting these slides together, and I remember going, whew, that's a pretty penny, but that pricing information is available. But I believe I can't give you a definite answer because there are tiers.
Okay, thank you.
For sure. Any more questions? Good. Well, this pretty much wraps up our session. I'm going to keep this up in case you want to take any notes, write down the link for the survey, but we will be providing this presentation and these links are live. So once you have this presentation, you can click on any of these buttons and it will take you to the respective website. So we thank you guys for joining us, and you all will be receiving an email with the link to watch this recording and all of those helpful links. Jim, do you have any notes? Yeah,
You're wrong.
you'll hit stop record. Yes. Hit stop.